Hey, how's it going out there, Texans? My name is Brandon, president of This Is Texas Freedom Force, and we wanted to put out our statement on HB 3013. For those of y'all that do not know, HB 3013 was filed by Representative Biedermann. The bill in its original form was specifically supposed to keep the focus of the Alamo on the 1836 Battle of the Alamo, nothing else, according to the Texas independence documents. This bill originally was a great bill, and This Is Texas Freedom Force supported it in the legislature. When it went to the House committee, we testified in front of it. When I say we, myself, our vice president, one of our directors, and one of our members testified. Well, excuse me, there was a couple of members that testified on this bill. We were for this bill because the General Land Commissioner, as well as the city of San Antonio, has been trying to change the narrative of the Alamo for quite some time with their Reimagine the Alamo project. Most of y'all probably remember the fight that we had, the Not 1 Inch movement, trying to stop them from removing or moving the Alamo cenotaph, and we were victorious after 3.5 years of fighting them. TITFF led that charge to stop them. So when it came down to this bill, it was only natural that we support it. Unfortunately, when the bill got onto the House floor, the House Democrats, Representative Jarvis Johnson, Representative Hawkins, Representative Bernal, and several other Democrat representatives tacked a bunch of nonsense onto this bill, talking about slavery. They wanted to paint the Alamo Defenders out to be slave owners and a bunch of racist and blah, blah, blah. They even went as far as wanting the Battle of the Alamo, saying that it was fought because of slavery, because Texans wanted to keep their slaves, which is an absolute lie, and there's no factual evidence to back that up. So once it got to the floor, of course, these 7 amendments were attached on to HB 3013, and the bill became something it should not have never become. This is typical for the Democrats, especially coming from Jarvis Johnson, who at every turn tries to turn anything he can into a racist issue. And Representative Hawkins is right behind him. Diego Bernal sits in the pockets of Julian Castro and Joaquin Castro. So you can go figure, their mom was the one that said she wanted to bulldoze the Alamo, and the Alamo Defenders were a bunch of drunks, blah, blah, blah. So right now, the HB 3013 has been in the House, and these amendments are now attached to this. We have got to stop this bill, and folks, there's only a couple of ways that we can do this. Number one would be to have the Senate go ahead and strip away all the amendments before they hear it on the Senate floor. And then, of course, the second way that we could go about this would be to possibly have Representative Biedermann withdraw his own bill for the fact that if this bill was to pass, the Alamo will then become about race, and that's it. That will be the sole focus of this. An entire exhibit in the museum will be dedicated to slavery and how Jim Bowie and Colonel Travis, Lieutenant Colonel Travis, and all the others were just a bunch of racists. And so we need to go ahead and kill this bill. Now, Representative Biedermann, this is his first bill, and so therefore, he doesn't want to let go of this bill, just even though it has become a bad bill and hijacked by the Democrats, because he wants to see one of his bills passed. And, we understand that, as a representative and the House legislator, that you want to get your bills passed. But when a bill becomes hijacked by the left and it starts becoming what it was never intended to be, well, then it's time to throw the bill into the garbage or try to repair it. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, it's a very slim chance that the Senate is going to strip all 7 amendments that were added to HB 3013. They might do a few, but I do not see them stripping it all. And a question was posed, well, what if they stripped everything and went back to the original form of the bill? Well, once the bill went to the House, there was the original form. Then it was substituted by Republicans to say something that was a little bit different. Wasn't bad, but the wording was changed a little bit, etc. So if you tried to strip all of the amendments and go back to the original wording of HB 3013, even the House Republicans are going to have a problem with it because they substituted it. So we're calling on all Texans to call Representative Biedermann and ask him to please withdraw his bill, HB 3013. and call all 18 of the Republican senators that sit on the Senate to either strip this completely, strip all the amendments that were added by the Democrats completely off of this. And if they don't, then don't bring it to the Senate floor, because if this bill is passed as is, it will become detrimental to both the Alamo and to every monument across the great state of Texas. It will set a precedent that the liberal Democrats can go back and point to and use it to try to make every monument that's in Texas about slavery. We just can't do this. So as an organization, we are calling for Representative Biedermann to withdraw his bill, and we are also calling on the Republican senators, all 18 of them that sit on the Senate floor, to either strip all the amendments completely off of this bill and go back to its original wording, which is, you know, this is a long shot, but if they can do that, then we would continue to support it. But as is, the organization, This is Texas Freedom Force, is not supporting HB 3013 simply because we do not support making the Alamo about racism without a single fact to back that stuff up. You know, it's just, you can't just say things are about racism just because. And another thing I'll point out too, many of you all heard the Woolworth building was supposedly the first desegregated counter in San Antonio and blah, 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 all this other stuff. This is actually a lie. We've done some digging on this stuff, and the Woolworth building is not the building that this takes place with. Remember, the old Woolworth building sits directly across from the Alamo. This did not take place there. It was actually at another building a few blocks away that this took place. So that's not even factual. So therefore, the Woolworth building has no significance whatsoever. You know, we need to make sure that the 1836 Battle of the Alamo is the sole focus for the Alamo footprint, or the entire Alamo footprint. I would say today's Alamo footprint, but today's Alamo footprint is not as big as what the original 1836 Battle of the Alamo footprint was. And we're never going to get to reclaim that, because the federal building sits on behalf of the North Wall, and so therefore you're never going to get the federal government to give up that building. It's too important to them. So anyway, write your senators. Tell them to please strip all the amendments before they hear it on the House floor or on the Senate floor, or go ahead and contact Representative Biedermann and tell him to please withdraw his bill, so that way we don't make a travesty out of the Alamo. I appreciate y'all listening to me. God bless Texas, and y'all have a good one.